Hey, it's Joe Solari with the Business of Writing, and today I have a very special guest, Suze Solari from Suze Solari Style Lab. How you doing, Suze?
Hey, Joe, I'm doing great. It's fun to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Suze is my wife, and we will be out at 20 Books, Las Vegas together. We were out there last year, and I talked to Craig about putting together a special episode for those of you that are planning to go to 20 Books Las Vegas. We're less than 90 days away, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
And the idea is we're going to help you with all things 20 Books as far as getting you to the event, making sure that you're comfortable. I know for a lot of folks, this is maybe their very first conference that they're ever going to. They'll be a little anxious about it. So the idea being we would have somebody who is an expert in packing and personal branding come on and talk to you about how to make sure that you make the most out of this conference.
How to prepare.
Yep. So if I'm somebody new and I'm going to be just coming out to Vegas for my first time and my first conference, what are some things that I should be doing even before I get there?
Right. Well, yeah, there's three areas that I wanted to cover that I think would be really helpful for everyone. And the first thing is, before you go. So it's all about preparation, right? So even if you have been to this conference or other conferences and you're familiar with Las Vegas, it's just imperative for you to do some prep. One of the things that I think would be really helpful would be some tech items that you could load onto your phone to ensure that you have the best transport while you're there. So apps like Uber and ride shares like Lyft, put those onto your phone if you don't already use them, because you'll definitely want to use that going to Sam's Town, where the conference is held, from the airport. It's going to be a great deal cheaper than a taxi, as Sam's Town is probably a solid, 20 to 30 minutes probably from the airport and the Strip. And you'll be using those resources too. Hopefully you'll be planning at least one night to go down to the Strip and have dinner, or gamble, or something fun. So the other thing that actually came up, it was an idea that you brought up to me, was to use an RFID protection container, if you will, or wallet, phone covers, those kinds of things. I had actually purchased for Joe's, birthday maybe last year, a cool wallet from Nordstrom Rack, and it had stamped on it, embossed in it, RFID underneath there. So keeping your wallet and your phone close to you at all times, both at the conference and, obviously if you're on the Strip. You don't want to be targeted by, thieves as a tourist, and that they could choose, to try and get your information. I mean, I don't know if you can speak more to that, Joe.
Yeah. It's when you're going out to a place like Las Vegas, certainly if you're down on the Strip on weekends, there's folks they're professional thieves and identity thieves or actual steal your wallet stuff, right? So you don't want to give them more opportunity. So
right.
One of the things that we've had issues with or heard of issues in Las Vegas is people having their actual credit cards being scanned by devices, and that's why you would have that RFID protection. The other big one is phones. People have so much information in there, and they, maybe they have a few drinks and they leave it down somewhere. There are people that would just pick that up, not even thinking that how hard it is to get rid of a phone or sell a phone, but they do.
Yeah. I mean, so that app, Find Your Phone, you want to make sure that you have that loaded, and then also you have it on.
Yeah.
While you're there, because in case your phone does get, stolen, then you have a way to, quick recourse to figure out where.
Even misplaced. I mean, just think if you left your phone somewhere in Sam's Town as you're shuffling between the different venues, there's a chance there that it's like, oh, I left it in the chair next to me.
Yeah.
And you never know what's going to happen, even if it's a good Samaritan that picks it up and is going to bring it to Lost and Found. If you have an app like that on there, you can always get on somebody else's iPhone, find your iPhone, put in your information, and get an idea where your phone is and
Yeah.
lock it.
See where it's located. So the second item that I wanted to cover is the Sam's Town Hotel and Complex itself. How to prepare for and cope with the environment itself. The first thing is it's vast. I mean, this is a huge complex. Last year when we were there, they had the world champion of bowling, right? Or something like that that was there, as well as our conference. So it is, a hotel, casino, and convention hall. And I think there's a movie theater as well as restaurants. And so it's very, very big. So if you are staying at the hotel, even if you're not, you're just, getting from point A to point B during the different events of each day, there's a lot of walking. So I'll talk a little bit about shoes, but be prepared for that, as well as potentially some standing, quite a bit of standing actually. If you're going to one of the breakout sessions in the smaller rooms, there was quite a bit of overflow. Last year, I recall standing for several presentations. The one with that Martha gave, actually, I was standing. I think I stood twice that day for 2 hours. So keeping that in mind when you're packing, and then the climate as far as hot and cold. So in the big, the center stage, if you will, tend to be kind of chilly in there, over air conditioned a little bit. So you're going to want to think about layers, both for the guys and the girls. And then in some of the smaller rooms, or even in the atrium, I felt a little bit warm. It was still warm. So early November in Las Vegas, it's the desert, right? So you're going to have dry conditions. And you're still going to have some warm weather. It's actually really refreshing that it's still kind of warmish there, because it's starting to get cold where we live here in Chicago. But it gets cold at night. So if you're going to be going out at night, you're going to want to have some layers for that too, and not think that it's just hot because it's, Vegas. They definitely have a season change. But yeah, as far as, the hotel and being inside, thinking that you're inside so you can be protected from the elements and weather, is not the best way to prepare. So there's that. There's also the fact that you're in this old casino where you got a lot of locals who, probably the demographic there, they smoke a lot, right? And I think based on that, maybe the age of that place, they still don't have the best ventilation. So there were a lot of people that were complaining about having sore throats or just scratchy kind of voices and just feeling dry. So you definitely want to prepare by having a lot of water available for you. And that means water loading before you go. And they always tell you to do that before you get on an airplane, or before you get to high altitude. But several days before, maybe drink a little bit more water so that you're pre-hydrated. And then bringing things along in your travel samples of extra moisturizing materials such as lotions and hair care products like a dry shampoo, for example, so you don't have to wash your hair every day, because it's going to be smoky. You're going to maybe be tempted to wash your hair every day, but believe me, you're probably not going to have time to wash your hair every day if you have longer hair like I do. And to make sure if you do, you definitely want to put it up and have some ways to put your hair up in a bun or a ponytail. So you're not going to want to wash it every day. You don't have time. So those would be a couple things to keep in mind. And then I would say that also when you're there, you're there for for the reason of getting involved with this community to socialize and network and establish your brand, or keep your brand top of mind with your genre. So especially if you're introverted, you're going to want to think about ahead of time of some ways that you could recharge, because you're going to be in an environment with a lot of people, and that might be a little anxiety ridden or overwhelming for you. So the two things that I recall doing, even though I'm very extroverted, I'm very into people, but I just found myself feeling a little tired because there were long days, is take breaks. So if you are staying at the Sam's Town Hotel, you can easily pop back to your room. If there's content that maybe, there are breaks in between the scheduled, content, or whatever you want to say. And then one of the big things I found out early on was there's a pool there. I always do this whenever I travel and go to a hotel. I find if there's a pool. not that I'm going to bring my bathing suit and swim, but it was just a way to be outside for a brief period of time with those breaks. I could go out there. I went there as often as I could, even for 10, 15 minutes, get a cup of tea for my throat if I felt smoky, and sit by the pool. It was nice. I did a Facebook Live out there, and it was just, there was a breeze, and it really helped me feel a little bit more energized for going in and going back in and being ready to absorb more of everything that this amazing conference has to offer.
Yeah, that and that pool was right off of the live area where the big stage where the main event happens. So it's pretty easy to get to. One thing to add on there is you need to have a room key to get out there. So
yes, so if you're not staying there, figure out someone who can let you out or whatever. But
yeah, and there's people going in. You might be able to scoot out there, but just if you are staying there, think about having that key with you to get out there and have a break.
Yeah, that was nice. There was so many people at the end were like, "There's a pool." Like, yeah, you got to go out there. So yeah, I have one more thing that I want to cover. It's basically what to pack. Unless there's anything that you based on those last two concepts there, Joe, you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. Why don't you get into like packing for this event and your background as a style consultant, thinking about how you might help some of the authors that are coming to this for their first time think about how to dress. And this could be a big thing for them. They could be standing in front of their closet for hours trying to figure out what they want to bring, or they bring too much. So maybe you can help them to think through some of those decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I use myself as an example, and also clients that I've helped packed for, hundreds of clients have helped packed for trips, different kinds of travel, specifically though, business conferences and multi-city vacations that have different climate that would provide to them like the most, gut-wrenching sort of stress and overwhelm as to not knowing what the environment was going to be and how to pack and what to bring and what to leave behind. I think overpacking is, statistically, is probably the most common problem, specifically amongst women. And a lot of that has to do with all the different garment categories that we have. Sort of sets us up to, especially if we have a lot of clothes, like I do. This is my business. I have a lot of clothes. So I would definitely feel that overwhelm, and for sure I would overpack, especially shoes, because I love shoes. So it's hard for me to leave my friends home, So I developed this protocol that is basically easy steps you can take and implement and turn into a habit for packing for all kinds of travel. So the thing that you want to consider with this particular conference, so I can make it real specific to the 20 Books Vegas conference, is remember you're representing your brand. So your brand in your genre is unique to you. And we're going to assume then you already know what your style aesthetic is. If you don't, then that's another conversation you can have with me while we're out there. But so your style aesthetic is something that will align with what you write about, and then what your fans might expect from you. Also what other authors in your genre might expect and want to see when you show up, so that they can connect with you a little bit quicker and easier, just visually, before you even have a chance to talk. For example, if you are writing in romance, you might be dressing a little bit more feminine, and maybe that's your go-to is kind of dresses and some fun jewelry. If you're fantasy or sci-fi, and certainly this goes for the guys too, you might have some cosplay, pieces that you want to, bring along and incorporate into something that's going to also be comfortable. Because remember, you're going to be, at this all day. You're going to be sitting, and maybe you're speaking even, or you're in an environment where there's a panel. And you might mix in some other adornment, or maybe there's, with the cosplay, they could be like a bodysuit or something crazy, which would be fun, right? I don't know if that would be comfortable sitting all day, but some other kind of adornment, or, I know I've seen some of the guys with the sci-fi, like what do you call it? Like just a concert tee, or even some sort of branded t-shirts, but if you did a V-neck t-shirt, if you were a guy in a blazer, it was kind of upscale it a little bit from just going with the khakis and the polo, or kind of going kind of underscale and being totally underdressed, where you're just like in a kind of a t-shirt and jeans and flip-flops. I mean, that's not usually the best choice unless you're like on the beach. So those are some things to think about, and also any swag that you have that you want to bring along, that you would want to hand to somebody. Last year, there's all sorts of cool things that people handed out that were incorporated into like business cards and their information. One of the things that struck me too, and being an author of style myself, is the idea of having your business cards with the book covers on them. And that's something people have been doing for a while, but for me, it was like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure, next time I want to bring all my books in the card version, just so I can decide if I meet somebody, which card I should get on.
Yeah, I think that's a real important thing, is if you're just getting out there, maybe this is your first conference and you haven't written a book, you're early, you're just starting to get books out there, go get some cards made. All you need is like 100 with your information, your email address, your phone number. Like you said, a lot of authors do things like put their picture of their books on them if they already have them. But even if you're not at that point, having those cards so that you can give them to somebody, everybody's going to have a name tag around them with their genre on it, so it's going to be easy to identify people. But the point is that when you strike up a conversation, if there's something meaningful there, you want to be able to hand them a card and ask people for their cards. You should have that's one of the reasons why I always wear a suit coat, is I have the pockets to put stuff in. But
that's one way to think about layering, especially for guys who don't have a handbag or I always like a crossbody bag for myself. It's lightweight, so I can put everything, a notepad, my iPad or computer in. And also, obviously, business cards, and even a paper and pencil. If you just want to write a few notes about somebody that you met, you're going to be meeting a lot of people, and the cards are actually you're going to get a lot of cards. You're going to maybe bring some Ziplocs so that you have different cards. Like sometimes I would be reaching for a card to give someone, and I would give someone else's card. So like a spot to put the two different cards, Just thinking that through.
Yeah, I'll just to interrupt, I anticipate that they'll probably do the same thing as they did last year, and that is they'll have a table for cards. So if you're doing other things than writing, like if you're an editor or a cover designer, think about having something promotional that you could put out, like your business cards that maybe have some kind of discount code or place to drive people to their website, whatever it might be, that you can hand out to people, or that you could put on a table like that if they have that.
Yeah, there's some very clever little gadgety things last year, I recall, that definitely grabbed people's attention. So, for example, as far as the one last thing I wanted to say about branding and your visual image, for example, with myself, being an author of style books, I want to make sure that I show up in what I feel comfortable, but also presenting myself as that expert in style. So, some people know that I love kimonos. I'm wearing one today, so I have a couple. I would wear one of those. Definitely comfortable, and it's sort of that bohemian style that is my aesthetic, and it's creative. And I'm in a creative industry, and I can do that. And we're all kind of in a creative industry. We have choices. We don't have to wear a business suit, But those are the kinds of things that I would bring with me. I would bring comfortable but tailored pair of jeans, and an unstructured blazer or leather jacket. To me, would be easy go-to, would be layering over a short sleeve top. So, like an ankle boot, where then my feet aren't going to be cold. That was one thing I noticed too last year. There was a lot of women wearing sandals and flip-flop type, not flip-flop, but like a sandal. Well, there was some in flip-flops because there's a lot of walking, but their feet were cold and their ankles were cold in certain areas, right? So there's another consideration, but the course that I do, that Joe's going to mention here, has ways to think about all those things, and resources to look for the right kinds of shoes and pieces of clothing for women. But the last thing that I wanted to cover is reviewing your itinerary. is a really big, important concept with regards to preparing. And we have the advantage of our lovely Craig, who's going to provide us with itinerary of every day, what to expect. And you can use that to plan your outfits based on these activities in each day. So once you figure out what activity you're going to want to go to, and then you may be organizing some of your own, you can then choose a color story, is what I call it, or color scheme. And that is going to reduce the choices for you, because you're going to choose a cool color story or a warm color story. And that I go into detail again, like I said in the course, but that really, really helps people eliminate bringing too many things, because what you're going to do with this color story is that all items in that you choose are going to coordinate and mix and match, and so that you can wear them multiple times in different ways. And that includes your accessories and shoes and things too. So all of these things you're going to want to be able to pack into a carry-on wheelie and have it be lightweight. But the activities, I kind of wanted to give a few tips too, based on experience from last year, are including not only just going and learning and being involved in the presentations, but it's really the socializing in between. And if that's something that gives you a little bit of a scary heart attack, you're not alone. There's a lot of folks in this industry are more on the introverted side of personality. And I have to say that the organizers and the volunteers and speakers, etc., I mean, they're the most friendly, helpful people I have ever met at any conference. So they do think about that. They plan. There's a coffee area with snacks and fruit in the morning where you can go and chit chat with people and meet people. There is all sorts of locations where you could meet people and set up a dinner or a coffee or a lunch with somebody that's in your genre that maybe you want to collaborate with. There's a Dunkin' Donuts there. People are there all the time doing kind of meet and greets there. You could do a breakfast at TGI Fridays. I know, Joe, you did that. You did a bunch of breakfasts there with a bunch of people. And then there's the Mystic Falls, right? The bar in the middle of the hotel atrium. It's kind of like an old town sort of setup. There's this cool bar set up in like a rock outcropping, and they had a laser light show every 2 hours. It was fun. It's definitely a conversation starter if you are shy. Just go up to the bar and walk around and wait for the light show. That could get crowded, but that was definitely a place where people met after, at the end of the day, after the programming. And then the one thing you can do ahead of time too is connect with people on Facebook in the group. So the 20 Books Vegas Facebook group, and check out the various different groups of genre, what events they have planned. And there is somebody that plans that, I think, a couple of people, but there's going to be dinners and cocktail parties for the different genres. So you definitely want to know when those are. And those might be on the itineraries, I'm not sure. But
yeah, I don't think that's on the itinerary, but I know that I think Carolyn Dean has in the 20 Books Vegas group, she has a list of different meetups. She's trying to help coordinate that. I know Jasmine Walt since the beginning has done a paranormal urban fantasy deal. That particular one is off-site, and it's pretty significant. She rents out a place, and I know she has a whole ticket system now because it gets overwhelming, and they have to know how many people show up. But to your point, go and figure out if there's, even if it's your first time, you haven't written a book, this is the genre that you're into, you want to meet these people, you want to know, just go and sign up, go to it, right? And show up, and you'll get a lot out of that event, right? So go find those things. You were going to say?
Oh, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is why you're there. You spent good money to get yourself there, and it's all about making those connections and and learning, obviously, lots of learning going on, and having fun. You're going to meet some new friends.
Well, and so that when you're thinking about going to an event like this is more kind of off of the packing thing and kind of into networking and making the most out of an event. Also use that itinerary, not just to plan your clothing, but like identify those sessions that you really want to make sure that you see and, highlight those on that thing. If there are people that that are going that you want to meet, be intentional and make the point of trying to meet those people. Go up and say hello to them. Everybody's super friendly, even if it's somebody that you've got like fanboy stuff over because you used to read their books.
Yeah.
They'll talk to you. They'll be cool. Now, understand they may also be swarmed by other people that are trying to do the same thing. But the point is to, use this time there to connect with people as best as possible. And certainly, you mentioned the Mystic Falls. Mm-hmm. I hung out there a lot when I wasn't actually meeting with people one-on-one. If you see Susie or I are there, just come up and say hello. Even if we're with a bunch of people and we're talking, come into that circle. And, when there's a break in the conversation, I know for myself, I'll make sure to bring you into that conversation. Mm-hmm. And if you see me in the hall, just come up and talk to me. And I understand that some folks, they're in their head a lot at these things and they're really freaking out about meeting people, and you understand that like 90% of the people are up in their heads thinking the exact same thing.
It's so true. Yeah, everybody kind of is feeling the same way. But
it's so ironic, right? Because there's
human.
There's thousands of people that are all in their heads and thinking from there's because you're all kind of self-centered, like, oh, this is about me, and everyone's thinking the same thing. And really, we're all suffering from the exact same thing, that we just want to, we want to be part of this community, and we want to start to meet people. And, my first time going out there 3 years ago, the only person I knew was Craig, and it was, over the internet. And to go in there and start meeting these people, everyone was super gracious and friendly. And
absolutely. Yeah. Just come say hi. Yep. And we'd love to talk to you about what you're writing and what you're working on, and also help introduce you to somebody that we might know. Like if there's someone that you want to meet that we find out definitely we might know them, we'd love to introduce you to them. So
yeah, absolutely. Tell me what you're trying to do, because if I know what you're trying to do, then I might know somebody you should be talking to, right? That's exactly. That's part of the other thing is that it's not your network, it's the network of your network that might be the opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. So it's understanding who are at these things. Certainly focus on your genre, but also think about, if there's other people that you think you'd like to meet, just go and talk to them. Understand with some folks, they're going to be super busy because they're, either they're trying to get to and from an event where they're speaking, or they're, in the case of Craig, the dude is running a conference that is now going to be 1,500 people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of balls in the air for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, great. Is there anything else about like just packing and, again, for somebody that's their first time that they should know about, like back in the suitcase, like
right.
Any things that you can think about there that they might want to think about, what they should bring, what they shouldn't bring?
Yeah, absolutely. For, again, you want to represent who you are. So you want to feel comfortable, and you want to feel, kind of just presentable and professional in your world of expertise. And that's really number one. And the idea of choosing this one color scheme and having items that I use like a 3 times rule, wear it in 3 different outfits, then that's a good thing to bring. And then shoes, you've got to think about comfort, but you also want to think about, again, this is representing you. So, wearing tennis shoes the whole time might not be the choice. And especially if you go down to the Strip and you're going to a fancy restaurant, you definitely want to have a pair of shoes that are, going to feel stylish and help you have that confidence. So it's a lot about the pieces that help you to feel confident, so you don't have to think about it. So in the course, I show actual pieces. I have style sheets that show actual pieces of clothing that you can say, oh, I'm going to go into my closet. I'm going to pick out these actual pieces that look like the ones that are in Suze's style sheets, as well as I have a lot of packing lists in there too. So you can use those packing lists. With course, you get a copy of also of the handbook.
Yeah. So why don't you just tell people real quickly where that course is and what's going on with that?
Sure. So the Pack with Purpose is the name of the course, designed to remove the overwhelm when it comes to packing for trips such as these, the exact type of thing. And it is easy to follow steps to habitualize, so that every trip, you could just do one or two of these lessons and tips. Before you know it, you'll be over packing again. But I think Joe, you could probably let them know how to find the link.
Yeah, so I'll put a link at the bottom of the in the comments of the channel. And right now there's a summer special. So
yeah. So I wanted to do something so that present an offer, for you guys to get a chance to get the course for 50% off of the price for the course. Normally is $59, but offering it for $29. Like I said, the handbook, which is here, you get a copy of the digital version of this handbook when you get the course. So the two together, I've just been told, it's just a really good combination, because you've got all the written information and the packing list and the style sheets, and then you got all the digital information, which you can download that for. But it's nice when you get it all in one piece with the PDF. So
and that's, you've got videos and kind of talk.
So it's the lessons. There's actually 10 lessons. It's all in video. You can sit and just watch it. Maybe even decide what lesson might be more helpful for you, and pick and choose. They're between 2 and 10 minutes long, or 2 and 5 minutes. I think there's only 2 of them that are 10 minutes long. But I like to say also you can sit and binge watch it and just watch the whole thing. And you don't even have to take notes, because it's all written there for you. But there are action step sheets too that you can also download to help you plan out your packing lists. So that's what the content is. How it's presented is a video format. You get sent to you in a link. You just open the link and start watching.
Great. Well, thanks for all of that information. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you or learn more about what you're doing, where's the best places to get that information?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can certainly message me here in the group. I'm a member of the Facebook group, but you can check out my website. It's SuzeSolariStyle.com. And there's contact information. There's my cell number and my email, and you can reach me that way too. Also on Instagram, again, Suze Solari Style on Instagram, and you could DM me there. But best way probably is to just send me an email, maybe, or at Suze at SuzeSolariStyle.com. So,
all right.
all the contact informations.
There you go. Great. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. And like we said earlier, anybody that is out there for their first time and concerned about meeting somebody, and what you know, at least with the two of us, you can come up and say hello, and
come say hi, and
we'll make sure that we get you introduced to some people and help you out. It's going to be a fun event for anybody that this is their first time. You're going to have your mind blown. I guarantee it. It's
so fun. And you definitely, it's like camp. You feel like by the end of it, you don't want to go, and you're going to miss your new buddies. So.
That's a good way to put it.
We'll see you there.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.